A very good morning to you. The clock just hit 6 a.m. at this morning. A very good morning to you again, and welcome to another edition of Kusile Breakfast Show right here on Eswatini TV. Thank you so much for starting your day, for choosing to start your day with us rather this morning. I am in the studio joined by my co-host, Ifisangumalo. How are you doing?
Doing very well. It's the 7th of October,
and a long
Tuesday
weekend
morning.
for you, Mac. They didn't see you. They didn't see you yesterday.
You know what a long weekend to me is? It's a weekend where I'm not working. It's when the week starts and I'm not working.
Fair enough.
If that Monday is off, that constitutes a long week. But
he was working yesterday.
Other duties, but alapayam 17, alapay kaya. So it wasn't a long weekend. But good to see you.
Speaking of the weekend,
love your new hairdo.
Oh, thanks.
You didn't look like this last week. Yes. You look fantastic.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
How was your weekend, Sviso?
It was great.
Yeah.
Went home, Kusile region, because we had the Reed dance, Sambile, Sayagawqina Simbali. Amazulu azivumelana nokuthi lo msebenzi uhambe kahle ngoba yebo kona lesihlanu nemgcibelo bekumakhathi alishubisa umkanja, but on Sunday bese nje liyabalela umsebenzi waba muhle nangamambala usije umsebenzi na uphela nakutsabuka incangosi laqala lana lidulu. It was poetic and proverbial.
You'd have to teach me a bit more Siswati because you lost me at Kutsabuka Kwencangosi.
Oh, this is something you have to learn by being around the environment.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
100%.
Back to the program. Today, we'll focus on a landmark initiative that marks a new chapter in Eswatini's urban development. That is the launch of the Interministerial Pocket Park and Riverine Ecosystem Restoration Project in the capital city, Mbabane. Now, unveiled by the Minister of Housing and Urban Development yesterday, the project symbolizes a practical response to this year's World Habitat Day theme, Urban Crisis Response. This transformation of a 2.13 hectare site into a green, resilient and inclusive public space is not just about beautification, it's about restoring ecosystems and reducing urban flood risk. Today's conversation explores how this initiative fits into Eswatini's broader urban agenda. Officials from the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development will share insights on this project, the themes of urban crisis response and the future of Eswatini, or rather the sustainable cities, or the future of sustainable cities in Eswatini. So that's a conversation coming up right here at 6:30.
All right. We also pivot and we look at this very important knock that Africa has been making in the house of the global creative economy. Or Africa is no longer, knocking at that door anymore, but it is insisting on a seat at the very table inside the house of the global creative economy. And come November 2025, Johannesburg becomes the runway from which that creative passport is going to take flight. It's called the Global Creative Summit. It is themed Visa to the World, a gathering not of dreamers but of doers. Lesotho, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Seychelles, Reunion Island, and of course the Kingdom of Eswatini. They have all confirmed their place among the founding voices there. So this morning I am joined by the woman behind this continental orchestration, Sinamandla Kwepile. She's the executive director of the Global Creative Summit, and I'll ask her, what does this summit mean beyond the lights, beyond the panels, beyond the performances? What is the tangible return for a nation like the Kingdom of Eswatini with world-class talent but limited access to global platforms? Remember that conversation we had with Melly about protecting as well as royalties, intellectual property, and compensation for our creative economy. That conversation too will be embedded within this one. Is this just another showcase, or is it infrastructure for mobility, trade and investment? That conversation this morning. It's 4 minutes after 6. You're watching Kusile Breakfast Show.
This is quite the show. I can see it is. But first, we'll go for a break. After this, our first bulletin for the day.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, Please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.sz.
Siphinze sinamukele ehlelweni ubukela Kusile breakfast show lomhla kuseni kunglesibili nathi ke tinzabathethu desiswati. Makhosi sakabambise libutfo lembali lebelingenele umkhosi wemhlanga wesifundza saseshiselweni tinkunzi. Lokhu kulandzela ukuthi lo mkhosi lebe ungenelwe tinkhulungwane telibutfo ufike emaphetselweni.
Makhosi abambise libutfo lembali tinkunzi ekubeni isigamu sesibili semkhosi wemhlanga wa 2025 sifike emaphetselweni. Lo nyaka bawukathe ungenelwe libutfo lelingetulu kwetinkhulungwane letingamashumi lo mkhosi. Imbali beyibuya emimangweni lengaphansi kwesifundza saseshiselweni nakuletinye tigodi telive leSwatini nangaphandle kwelive. Lesigaba lesi silandzela umkhosi lomkhulu lebowukathe usesigodlweni elidzini emavikini lambalwa lendlulile. Emakhosi abengeke ke ayivumele imbali ukuthi ibuyele emva emakhaya ilengisatandla watise ukuthi emakhosi asikhathalele sonke sive sawo. Libutho lembali lemukele tipho letfaya ekhatsi ngokuba sita nabaya emfuleni ticubo emaswidi bobhaki tikipa nalokuya ngasetfunjini kubala nje lokumbalwa. Indvuna yembali Bongiwe-Hlatshwako ithi lo mkhosi uhambe kahle waba imphumelelo waphindze futhi wekhuta lwandle ngetipho tembali letibuya emakhosini.
Lengakusho bekumakhata inshiselweni kepha ke ngoma besibitwe ngilomabanda ingozi besigeza ngemanti lashisako sinatha itiya kwaba kuhle kwabanjiyana namuhla inkosi iyasimbathisa tikipa nabobhaki kubonakala ukuthi awunathe esikolweni kutawubonakala ukuthi awuyahlehla ke lo nangibhaki ubonakala ngabhaki kwaba kuhle kwadliwe njengoma sibona inkosi isiphatha inkunzi namuhla.
Indvuna iphindze yaniketa imbali umlayeto wekuchubeka nekutiphatsa kahle ibambelele nasetifundweni tayo.
Njengoba umnyaka aphela msakati siyabona tikolwa sekucala kubhalwa ewona ema-exams kokuthi siyayifisela nayo imbali kokuthi ayibhale kahle idadishe labasalungiselela bo form 2 badadishe bathi nje kokuthi imfumvo ingiyona leyisikhiya sawo wonke umnyango noma ngawumuphi msakati. Imbali sabuyela emuva khona etikhulwini siyifisela indlela lenhle ihambe ifike iphephile emadloti namveli ngikhandi ayisibekele endleleni nekokuthi ayithi imbali ibuyela etikhulwini iqhubeke ibambe yona inhlonipho iqhubeke itigabhe kuba imbali igcine ebufophi bayo kokuthi nakuyo umnyaka lotako sibuye sihlangane siyimbali solo sigabaza ngebutfophi bethu.
Lo mkhosi lona wacala ngalesihlanu ngesikhathi libutho lifika ngebuningi balo libhalisa ngemgcibelo liholwa ngemakhosatana esilo liphovela nendvuna yembali libutho lethula umhlanga embi kwesilo semhlaba nendlovukazi mhlekazi khona esigodlweni embangweni. Nakulesigaba semkhosi libutho lende letibukwako ngesikhathi lisikisa ngemigaba zibalo embi kwemakhosi ngemgcibelo nangelisondlo. Lisagidza libutho ingwenyama ingene emkhunjini yalidlalisela. Emakhosi yaphindze futhi agidza nalo libutho nesivele besikathe siyingcenye yalomkhosi. Lo mkhosi wephethe ngelizinga leliphakeme kulandzela kugiya lokwendiwe libutho embi kwemakhosi. Umcumo nesasasa ebuthweni kubonakele kungilokusedulwa impela sondvo yonke. Etinsabeni kubika Pholile Maziya anathabiso Dlamini esigodlweni embangweni.
Ingetulu kwa 8 million emalangeni imali lebikwe ukuthi yebiwe ngedebuciko lapha eSwatini kulomnyaka. Lokhu kuvele emcimbini wekusukumisa kalokusemthethweni inyanga yokuhambisa lwati ngebucala lobendeka ngedebuciko Cyber Security Awareness Month. Kanzike kulomsebenzi bekunemhlonishwana noNkulu Russell Miso Dlamini lotsite lena indzaba yawonke lengalimata nemnotfo welive uma engabukelelelwa.
Bomahlale kukhwini bongcondvomshina naletinye tintfo tebuciko letakhelwa kwenta impilo yebantfu ibe malula sekugucuke kwaba sikhali lesisebentisa tinswela boya kugebenga banikati baleto tintfo. Umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu Russell Dlamini uthi sicubulo salonyaka lesithi asichumane siphephile sibita lonke liswati kutsi litiphephise kulobucala lobunesihluku nakangaka.
As we bring government to the palm of your hand, we must also guarantee that your data, your privacy, and your trust are protected. Cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. Success requires collaboration. First, with schools and universities to build digital literacy. Secondly, with businesses to strengthen defenses against cyber attacks. And lastly, by no means the least, with communities to raise awareness and protect the most vulnerable.
Indvuna yetekuchumana umhlonishwa Savannah Maziya ithi uhulumende utawufundzisa emaswati ngalobucala lobu kuze atawukhona kutivikela.
Throughout this campaign month, we will be conducting outreach programs to schools, institutions of higher learning, community platforms, workshops for stakeholders, as we continue to instill a culture of cyber vigilance amongst our citizens. The ministry, through the Eswatini Communications Commission, is also planning free online cybersecurity training for the public, including the youth, small businesses, schools, government agencies, and communities.
Emaphoyisa athi tigebengu tanamuhla akusasito leti tayitolo lebetinyonyoba tikhokhoba emasitheleni kodvwa leti setisebenta tingcebeleke kubosofa nasemibhedzeni emakhaya kodvwa umonakalo uba ngilomkhulu.
8,575,174 emalangeni was lost from a total of 275 cyber-related cases reported during the period from 1st September 2024 to 30th September 2025, indicating a 2.6% increase when compared to the previous year.
Njengobe seyetfuliwe lenyanga ye-Cyber Security Awareness kubhekeke ukuthi kufundziswe sive ngekutivikela ngalobucala lobendeka ngetebucibo besimanje manje. Lobikako ngithemkosi Mavimbela eHappy Valley eZulwini.
Umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu sewuyicacisile indzaba yokuthi kuyangani emaphoyisa embube abonakale agadze imali yetinkampani tsite uma isuka kulenye indzawo iya kulenye. Umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu ucacise lokhu kulandzela ukuthi lilunga lephalamende lenkhundla yaseMahlangatsha umhlonishwa Mgucisi Dlamini libute umhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu endlini yabayesikhulu imibuto lefaka ekhatsi ukuthi ngabe lokhu akwendini ukuthi emaphoyisa angasasebenzi kahle leminye imisebenzi.
The core mandate of the police is to provide safety and security to all citizens, as mandated by Section 189 of the country's constitution and the Police Service Act of 2018.
Ndvunankhulu utsi lokugadvwa ngemaphoyisa kwetimotolo letetfalela tinkampani letitsite imali kuyingcenye yemsebenti wawo wemaphoyisa njengobe akwenta ngekulandzela imitsetfo yelive lefaka ekhatsi umtsetfosisekelo logunyata wona emaphoyisa kutsi avikele imphilo yemaswati kanye nemphahla. Utsi ngaphambilini letimotolo betibanjwa inkunzi kulahleke imiphefumulo kanye netinsambansamba temali. Utsi ngekugadvwa kwaletimotolo ngemaphoyisa tigameko tekubanjwa inkunzi setancipha kantsi loku kunemtselela lomuhle emnotfweni welive.
At the present moment,
Bantfwana labahola emakhaya labangemashumi lamane etifundeni totine takuleli sebavulelwe emabhizinisi yokutsengisa emacanza. Lokhu kushiwo liphini landvunankhulu umhlonishwa Kusile lotsi lo msebenzi wesekelwe inkampani letsengisa emantshwele elangeni Chicks lenikele ngematray emacanza langu-1,200 kantsi-ke imali yawo ilinganiselwa ku-40,000 emalangeni. Dladla uchaza ngebumcokwa bekucalela-ke bantfwana emabhizinisi.
Lekungumsebenzi wethu ukuthi sithi make sure ukuthi inkosi uma iphumela iya ka-UN noma iya ka-AU noma ibheka kuphi ingabi nekuthi ngabe ngawukhulumani ngawubikela ini umhlaba ukuthi thina kulama goals sesihambe sagcina kuphi. Lokhu lenikwendako kufulfilla ivision yenkosi. Lokhu lenikwendako kuphendvula tikhalo temaswati esibayeni. Sitawuchubeka and rally behind you and other children labatojoyina le band wayikona.
Lobu kwechuba kwebhizinisi enkampanini yekhicite emantshwele elangeni Chicks Aaron Dlamini uthi lena indlela abangile nkampani labahambisa ngayo live ekulweni nebusweti.
Umntwana munye will have 30 trays. So lesathi nasihlala phansi nelibandla sibala sabuka ukuthi le profit margin lebatayakha lapho. It can sustain an individual. They will buy la macanza nge-cost, not at selling price. So ngiko lesabe sesiyakubuka singaqali nalaba lebebang 11 saqale ke saba ne training lesayenda le training ukuthi bangayirana njani le business.
Labantu abasha labahola emakhaya labacelelwe emabhizinisi ekuthengisa emacanza bayabeka.
Ihamba kahle kakhulu so far ihamba kahle. Ama challenges la khona nje ukuthi lama order ethaphotha lokufika ukuthi ama customers emaningi kakhulu.
Business yami ishihamba kakhulu but challenges lenginayo sometimes ngihlelina yabona and then nalokuthi nje counter saphethe namacanza ukuthi simele lo lesithafu ish bese labanye ama-customer bese labanye bantu yabona.
Ibhizinisi yetengalo ihamba kahle kakhulu mhlonishwa kakhulu. Ibhizinisi yamacanza ingeyo impela kodwa ke iphindze ibe stress. So ukhanza ukuthi ngidzinga linani leli more than 50 kepha ke ngalokuthi vele elangeni Chicks bakhipha 30 wemacanza.
Emacanza ami egebe ngikhompyutha nalenye inkampani but ngankulunkulu ahamba ngendlela esimanga.
Njengaloku labantu labasha abakhala ngekuthi lamacanza yaphela kuze kujike amakhasimende, inkampani elangeni Chicks ithi itakulungisa lokhu iphindze yathi futhi labantu labasha batocupha ngemali engihafu nakucathaniswa naleyo letayelekile lethengisela ngayo amakhasimende ayo lamacanza. Lobikako Fortune Dlangamandla ngisembabane.
Litiko letetindlu nekutfutfukiswa kwemadolobha selethule indzawo ekungcebeleka lehambisana netemvelo edolobheni lasembabane iPocket Park lesemkhatsini wematiko ahulumende lambalwa. Indvuna yelitiko letetindlu umhlonishwa Pholo Maphalala uthi le ndzawo itawudlala indzima lenkhulu ukuthi bantfu bakhone kuphilisana nemvelo.
Litiko letemadolobha ngekubambisana nematiko latsintsekako nabomasipala selethule indzawo yekungcebeleka iPocket Park njengendlela yekugubha lusuku lwe-Habitat Day lolugujwa njalo ngeminyaka. Lolu suku lugujwa nangekuhlanyelwa kwetihlahla kule ndzawo.
environmental degradation, flooding, and lack of public space. The area is about 2.13 hectares. Is situated within government. The government office is stretching from below His Majesty's Correctional Services headquarters, adjacent to the interministerial complex towards Hilton Garden Hotel.
Indvuna yelitiko letindlu nekutfutfukiswa kwamadolobha Apollo Maphalala ithi lo msebenzi walendzawo yekuhlala utawusita kubuyisa umhlabathi logetfukile eceleni kwalomfula kuze kube indzawo lephephile. Indvuna ithi lokhu-ke kutawuphindze kuvikele tigameko tetikhukhula letingahle tibe khona. Indvuna ichubeke yaveta ukuthi le ndzawo itawuphindze inikete sive indzawo yekuthi sikhone kuchumana nemvelo. Indvuna-ke ibe seyicela ukuthi kubanjiswane ekuthenini le ndzawo ichubeke ibe sesimeni lesikahle, waphindze wacela netinkampani letitimele ukuthi tesekele imikhankaso lekhutsata ukuthi emadolobha abe yindzawo lekhonsako. Kulo msebenzi indvuna ibe seyibonga umsebenzi lomuhle lowendiwe nguStephen Khumalo lo sebende naleli tiko elihlangothini lwekubuka temvelo lose abuyela itiko lakhe letempilo. Kubika Sondomlangeni eMbabane.
Inhlangano yemave alabamhlophe i-European Union sethembise ukuthi itakwesekela kuthuthukiswa kwemisebenzi yemakhono kude live litawukhona kubhekana nesimo swelakala kwebantu labasha. Lokhu-ke kuvedwe ngiloncuselele enhlangano kuleli Kirsten Mecklenburg emhlanganweni wekubuka ukuthi ubudlelwane bale-Eswatini kanye nale nhlangano bungachubeka buqiniswe kanjani.
Indvuna iyachaza ukuthi kulomhlangano letinye tintfo lokutawukhulunywa ngato tindzaba tekukhanga abahlanyeli imali, tekuthengiselana nemava labamhlophe, tindzaba tekugucuka kwesimo selitulu kanye netemalungelo esive kulokunye.
Our discussions here today enable us to collaborate on key priority areas such as international affairs, political and legislative matters, and human rights. We will also delve into critical aspects of investment, development, cooperation, along with pressing issues on climate change.
Umhlonishwa uthi njengoba kuhlangene tinhlangothi letahlukene letimqoka kulomhlangano, tisombululo labatawuphuma nato titawusita kakhulu ukuthuthukisa inhlalakahle yesive kanye nemnotfo ikakhulu ngobe udlelwane leSwatini lelinabo nenhlangano yemava labamhlophe sebonakele buyithuthukisa kakhulu impilo yesive. Lonxusele inhlangano yamava labamhlophe kuleli Kirsten Mecklenburg uthi lenhlangano seyesekelele eSwatini kutemfundvo, tekulima ikakhulu elihlangothini lwekhicita shukela kanye netempilo kulokunye.
Now, our flagship support is on skills development. It's to answer to the challenges of the future. We will talk about it in our dialogue. Economic growth is there in the country, but it doesn't translate to everybody's wealth.
Uyachaza ukuthi nyalo sebafise kufaka imandla kakhulu ekutheni bathuthukise temakhono ikakhulu kubamfula abasha kodwa bate ukhona kutisukumisela emabhizinisi njengoba kude kahle bathuba imisebenzi. Uthi labakubukile ukuthi sive solo siyakhala ukuthi nanome umnotho wakuleli uthuthuka sona solo asiwuva umthelela waloko ngakho bafuna kwelekelela sive sithuthuke kuto tonke tinhlangothi. Ekusho kwembiko we-European Union eminyakeni lophelile tekuthengiselana emkhathini wemava labamhlophe neleSwatini betilinganiselwa ngetulu kwa 1.9 billion emalangeni. Lobikako Nelson Dlangamandla, nginavuma inkosi Nzinisa ezulwini.
Umphathi we-Eswatini Communications Commission Mvilawempi Dlamini uthi uhulumende wakuleli udzinga kuphakela imali letawucondzana neluhlelo lwekulwa nebucala lobenteka ngetebuciko. Dlamini ukushito lokhu ngesikhathi kwetfulwa ngalokusemthethweni inyanga yekufundzisa ngebucala lobenteka ngetebuciko. Kanti-ke Dlamini uthi le ndlela lolu hlelo loluphakelwa ngayo kwamanje ibeka live emgodini.
Cybersecurity is not only about technology, but it is about awareness, vigilance, and the joint commitment of all sectors to safeguard our nation's digital future.
Tindzaba tekuvikela bucala lobenteka ngetebuciko yindzaba yawonke-wonke. Angeke sakhe sivele sitawukhona kumelana nebucala baloluhlobo ngaphandle kwekubambisana kwahulumende, tinkampani letitimele, tifundziswa, tinhlangano kanye nemaswati onke. Kutivikela ebucaleni betebuciko akusiyo indzaba yetebuciko kuphela, kodvwa yindzaba lehambisana nekufundzisa, kucaphelisana, kubambisana kwato tonkhe tinhlangotsi kuze kuvikeleke tebuciko telive. Sesifundzisile kakhulu ngetebuciko eveni, safundzisa nebantfwana ngekubambisana ne-UNESCO. Loku solo kuyachubeka ngenhloso yekwakha sive lesicaphele. Sisebentile netinkantolo kanye nemaphoyisa kucinisekisa kutsi live liyakhona kutisebenta tindzaba tebucala baloluhlobo. Noma kunjalo, liciniso litsi imetamo yetfu ibambekile. Tindzaba taloluhlobo titsintsa kuvikeleka kwelive nemnotfo. Kungumanje, umlawuli wetekuchumana utikhandze ubhekene nalomsebenti ete nemaphakelo lacondzene nawo. Mhlonishwa Ndvunankhulu, uma sitawukhona kumelana nalobucala lobu, sivikele sive, kufanele kutsi i-cyber security ithole emaphakelo lafanele kumaphakelo ematiko ahulumende. Ngiyacela ngekutitfoba nangenhlonipho lenkulu ukuthi lendzaba lena uyibuke kuze silive singatawutikhandza sibhubhiswa ngulobucala lobu.
Libhange lelikhulu libuka kusungula libandla lelitawubuka kuvikela nekulwa nebucala lobenteka ngetebuciko. Lokhu kuvetwe ngumphathi welibhange Dr. Philip Mnisi ngesikhathi kwetfulwa kwemtsetfo inyanga yekufundzisa sive kabanti ngetekuvikela nekusebenziswa tebuciko.
Umphathi welibhange lelikhulu uthi sebavele babukile kulamanye emabhange kumava bomakhelwane ukuthi leli bandla i-Financial Sector Cyber Security Incident Response Team lingasebenta kanjani kuleli.
We are also envisaging the establishment of a Financial Sector Cyber Security Incident Response Team, a benchmarking visit by CBE to a peer central bank with a functioning Financial Sector Security Operations Center has recently been completed.
Dr. Mnisi uthi lokunye labakwendako kuchubeka nekulungisa nekugcinisa imigomo yekusebenta kwemabhange kanye netinhlangothi letisebenta ngemali letingesiwe emabhange kuthi tivikele bucala lobenteka ngetebuciko. Umphathi welibhange lelikhulu uphindze wachaza ukuthi basemkhankasweni wekuthi bangete tinhlangothi labasebenzisana nato kuvikela bucala lobenteka ngetebuciko. Uphindze waveta ukuthi banelihlelo lwekuthi bosomabhizinisi labancane labafuna kwakha tinhlelo letitawusebenta ngemali bete ebhange lelikhulu bate ubuka ukuthi tingasebenta kanjani i-regulatory sandbox lokusita ukuthi imali yesive iphephe kusasebenziswa letinhlelo letinsha. Lobikako nginelisiwe Ndlangamandla, nginavuma inkosi Nzinisa ezulwini.
Kutemidlalo inhlangano leyengamele imidlalo yema-Olympics kanye nema-Commonwealth kuleli sayisekele umhlangano sikolwa wekufundziswa kwebaceceshi bemidlalo we-basketball ngemali lengu-170,000 emalangeni. Le mali yalo mhlangano sikolwa yetfulwe ngumphathi wenhlangano yema-Olympics lekungu-Maxwell Jele emahhovisini yale nhlangano kalobamba.
Inhlangano engamele umdlalo webasketball lapha eveni ngekudama ukuthuthukisa lizinga lalomdlalo lapha eveni ngekucala ngekufundzisa bona abaceceshi balomdlalo. Lenhlangano itabobambe umhlangano sikolwa wabo baceceshi kuleli viki. Umphathi wenhlangano emidlalo yema-Olympics kanye nema-Commonwealth kuleli Maxwell Jele uthi lokhu lenhlangano emidlalo webasketball bayisekele kulo mhlangano sikolwa ucela ukuthi kwenyuke lizinga lekudlala lalomdlalo betame nekuba ingcenye yemidlalo ye-Region 5 eminyakeni lotako lataba saveni laseMozambique.
Kulomnyaka lotako ngaDisemba sitophinze sibe nawo ima-Region 5 Youth Games elatobe aseMaputo eMozambique. Sinalo-ke lithemba ngwekuthi kule coaching course letocalwa nyalo batokhona be-Basketball Association nabo bo-coach labatobe sebatrainiwe kwekuthi bakhone ukuproducer ima-athletes langakhona kwekuthi akwalifayele kwakha i-team leto yakhona eMaputo kuma-Region 5 Games. i-challenge ke lena lesishiya kuyi-association lesethemba lokuthi nasibambisene singakhona lokuthi i-basketball ikhone lokuyomelela live kulo mnyaka lotayo.
Clement Dlamini longumengameli wenhlangano emidlalo webasketball lapha eVeni uthi lokusekeleka ngale mali kufike kahle njengoba kuhambisana nembono wabo wa-2026.
Lo Vision 2026 from the coaching commission labo coach bethu lesitabafundzisa nyalo labatawucala nga level 1 kulo mnyaka loyo and then level 2 next year kushothi sebatawucoacha elizingeni lelisetulu lapha khona kutawuproduceka ma high performance players for the national team ya 2026 so si aim ukudlala ukuparticipate ku Afrobasket kushothi ngamafishana fana njengebhola ye-African Nations sifuna apply participate kule African Nations.
Balishumi nesihlanu labatongenela lo mhlangano wesikole we-level 1 lotocala ngalesithathu kuleli viki uphele ngelisomve Africa kalubamba kanzi loto bachuba wona lo mhlangano wesikole ubuye eveni lase-Angola lokungulazare Adingono lobikako uLinda Dlamini eMbabane.
Ndingakwenza bathi Eswati sitawubahlula emakethe sitawubuya sichubeke nehlelo masinyane.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.sz.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba research bafunze.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna senze ukukhiqiza lokusebenzisa.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience.
Welcome back. You are still watching Kusile Breakfast Show right here on Eswatini TV. Thank you so much again for choosing to stay with us. Now, you may have seen circulating social media posts. It is the Eswatini Customer Service Week. In this next clip, we're going to hear how the Eswatini Water Services Corporation is actually planning on spending this week. Let's have a look.
Happy Customer Service Week, Eswatini. Eswatini Water Services joins the world this week in celebrating the patronage of our faithful customers under the theme Mission Possible. At Eswatini Water Services, we believe that no challenge is too great. If we work together with passion, purpose, and resilience, we can make this a reality. Our mission as a corporation is to deliver reliable access to clean water and sanitation services. And despite the climate variability, we stay determined to expand services and deliver experience in all the communities that we serve. We do this through various projects that we're implementing, such as the Manzini Water Supply Project, the Hlanganos Pambanweni Water Supply Project, Lonomaja Namaja project we're saying we're bringing the promise of clean water to more homes, cutting across cities and towns and even across borders. We're doing this whilst also embracing technology and innovation and leaving absolutely no one behind. Through solutions such as the prepaid metering solution and also the EWSC app, we're working tirelessly to improve the customer convenience. Mission Possible to us is not just about delivering clean water, but it's also about transforming lives, ensuring that Emaswati receive and enjoy the dignity, the health, and the opportunities that are brought about by access to clean water. We also take this time in this week to celebrate and appreciate our employees that actually work behind the scenes to deliver on this promise. We say to you, Blue Team members, we see you and we appreciate the work that you do. And to our customers, we want to assure you that delivering a stellar customer experience is our mission. We hope that this week and forever, this experience may be palpable for you. Happy Customer Service Week.
Happy Customer Service Week. Indeed, we've just heard there from Eswatini Water Services Corporation Managing Director Jabulile Mashama. Moving on with the program, Eswatini launched the Interministerial Pocket Park and River and Ecosystem Project in the capital. Interministerial Building. Now we are Ministry of Finance, Foreign Affairs, and also win a stream. But now the Ministry of Housing is actually taking the initiative. This is actually in commemoration of the World Habitat Day, of which was commemorated under the theme Urban Crisis Response, which is why now in the studio I am joined by a senior housing officer in the ministry, Samgeliso Makubu. Mr. Makubu, how are you doing this morning? Glad to have you in the studio this morning. I'd like to start here. The theme year World Habitat Day beats Urban Crisis Response. How does this resonate with the urban development?
Sibonga kakhulu. Itheme yethu yayidolo beyithi urban crisis response. Litiko ke nahulumende nema partners ethu sisabona kumgcoka ukuthi sitimbanza kanye nayo le theme ngekuthi silonje le project ye Interministerial Pocket Park. Le Pocket Park it's mainly to address my issues now lesivame whoever ukuthi ayendeke mbabane kakhulu lawa abo flooding ukhanze kusekuflooda idinza odema business downstream. So the purpose of that launch was to address an urban crisis challenge lebe khona embabane. So sithi nje singulumende we are lending a hand to address that situation lesivame kufa ngayo kakhulu embabane.
Right. The vision behind the park, I'm trying to understand how the ministry perhaps came to the selection of that specific area, or could my initiatives like Anjena Sobona expanding to other cities even longer?
Sibonga kakhulu. Le park si selecting alokuthi sibone ISO kakhulu ema kuma customers ethu nema seekers of services kakhulu kahulumende kanti it's a space less between a precinct le nemahofisi kahulumende kakhulu. So sitsite nje asiqale khona and see ukuthi if you can bring together ema partners ethu onke ema ministries nema business people la tutane naleso space leso sisitane lokuthi how can we develop it into a proper park for relaxation and also for ema ecosystem services. So sithi ke ngayo le park we can then demonstrate the power of public private partnerships and then maybe sibese replicated to some other areas la khona kangwane ikakhulukazi emadolobheni.
Yes, you speak on the need for partnerships, of which are very much essential to this project. From where I stand, ngiyayibona nje seyihlobisa lidolobha, it's going to be nice, it's going to be lovely. But beyond beautification, what are some of the, I could say, the environmental outcomes that you are hoping Kusile project itawaletha?
Okay, see ngale park ikakhulukazi na ungayibuka sisi ikakhulu inetihlahla leti ngasito temvelo ikakhulukazi bogoma. So ke nase iphelile isebenza kahle besibukela ukuthi mhlawumbe if ngaba nendlela ukuthi bagcine basukile labo bogoma kuhlanye letihlahla leti imvelo kuleyo ndzawo, so to restore the ecosystem ya leso space leso. And also kuthi nje lo mfula nale wetland around that space ibe more cleaner and more sustainable, kungakhandakali seyisebenziseka kabi and seyikhandela seyiyalimala kanti vele amadede amcoka kakhulu even. Yes.
When launching or unveiling the project that the ministry is here to undertake, Minister Honorable Mapalala, he spoke on kuthuthukwa kwamadolobha ngesivinini lesetulu, rapid urbanization, that is kanzike lokuphi phindze futhi kufine sanda kubo climate change, and then ngesekuba nema issues kuhlala or housing, adequate housing, especially emadolobheni. How do you think Silive or Sibantu, or as a ministry, you know, from your perspective, we can balance the need for kuthuthukwa kwemadolobha with that of being considerate rather of the environment around us, looking at for climate resilience and sustainability?
Ngicabanga ukuthi induna ichazile itolo kakhulu ukuthi ke emadolobha singazama kanjani ukuthi siwaside ukuthi ekuthuthukeni kwawo abe a balance netindzawo te environmental protection. But ke I think lokwendekako currently kuhulumende nakuwe emadolobha besine project nje lekhulumisa kakhulu under the name of Green Cities project. Lapho khona si preparation amadolobha ethu ukuthi abe more resilient etindzabeni tabo climate change, nekuthi ke integrate lawo ma interventions lafana nekuthi mhlawumbe takhiwo tethu tibe more resilient in terms of green buildings, in terms of ukuthi nase takheka tingabi takhiwo leti tawukhanda ukuthi atisa sithathe forward in terms of ku address ema issues of climate change. But the vele we are doing a lot in terms of ku review imithetho yethu ikakhulukazi lena lebuke takhiwo to say let's integrate those elements green buildings into existing legislations to take our housing supply and even the development of structures within the urban centers to have more resilient to climate change.
Speaking of urban development, green cities, we are in the month of October, of which I think annually is the Urban October month for the ministry, not only for the ministry, but also it's just a global convention to promote the discussions on sustainable urban development. How do you think then we can use the period to engage stakeholders from municipalities to individuals, communities, you know, to be green advocates, if I can say that, and, you know, to be more inclusive, especially Guma urban settlements?
Ngiyabonga kakhulu ikakhulukazi nje lo highlighta lobumcoka balenyanga ya October ukuthi it's really we call it Urban October, where we discuss, we encourage citizens and also national government entities, even local government entities to actually take the discussions forward in terms of my challenges la khona emadolobheni ngabe singawa addressa kanjani la phethe kabi sive nekuhlala kwaso. So kule nyanga nje October sithi people should lead nabane ma challenges just bazame ukuthi bakhulumisane nalabo lababuke wona emadolobha nathi on the level ya hulumende, we are taking the discussions forward. We are reaching out to public, mainly kakhulukati lesemadolobheni, to try and educate them on issues nje lendekako around leso space leso, ikakhulukati emithethweni lesisebentako at the moment letawusita wona eMaswati, ikakhulukati lahlala edolobheni. I think kunema issues nje abo, like bengishito earlier, abo Building Act, kunema issues abo Rating Act. So we encourage people ukuthi babe more bajoyine sikhulumise leto tindzaba, imivo yabo siyithathe bayisho nabo singekube betelo salela ngaphandle. But nje kule nyanga lena vele sithi budolopha siyabuchayisa, sifuna abantu bacishe understand kangcono ukuthi kushoni kuhlala edolobheni nokuthi intuthuko yebudolopha yona sihlose ukuthi sibhekise silive.
Yes. As part of the Urban October initiatives, I want to believe Nitigo you'll be partnering or engaging with your stakeholders on a number of issues with regards to uthuthukiswa kwetakhiwo emadolobheni and also some of the acts that you have or initiatives by the ministry that you have alluded to. One thing you are mentioning, the Building Act, of which we're not but the subject of climate change and resilience is not a new thing, except maybe for some it's a concept that now differently to how bakaganjani, bakagupi, and take into account those sort of things. But I'd like to know, Mr. Makubu, perhaps for the sake of our audience, you can educate. Gogoguti, sesa structures that can withstand extreme weather conditions, whether it's rain or it's extreme heat. But now, with this particular material, but now I'm going to have to move to this because of the issues around climate change.
Sibonga kakhulu. Ngicabanga ukuthi kulendzaba yetakhiwo ikakhulukati isakhiwo ukuze sibe more climate change resilient. Kokuqala nje ukuthi sicale sibuke letindzawo la ungakhona khona kwakha sakhiwo. So ke siyawa kutsata kakhulu nje emadolobha ukuthi onke abe nawo nakule sikubita ngabo town planning scheme, where you zone areas accordingly, kuthi kungakhona yini kumukela noma kupermita sakhiwo ukuthi singakheka kuleyo ndzawo. But nje iqala lapho, and then bese the choice of materials that we are going to use and the standards. Of course, we can like ukuthi tindlu tethu tibuyele tibe ngileto lebesisebenzisa katseni in terms of the materials that we besisebenzisa jani netingoto nani. But ke konke lokho noma ungabe uyafisa ukusebenzisa kufuna kulandzele standard seed. So ke building materials lesinawo la permitted at the moment meet a certain standard. So even the new technologies and materials that we can propose, they need to meet a certain standard. We can see the need to adopt new practices into the building sector. But nje sithi konke lokho akwendeke ngekulandzela imithetho lekhona nema standards la accepted for ukuthi ama structures ethu atokhosa angaqobi bantfu. Ngicabanga ukuthi ngaba ngiloko for now kulendzaba tetakhiwo.
In light of the global theme urban crisis response, how do you think we can then leverage innovative housing solutions to ensure ukuthi takhiwo tethu di yamelana noma ngabe ngisiphi sihlakalo?
Mhlawumbe ngingacala nje ngalokuthi as much as the theme yethu ya World Habitat Day bekakhulu ku urban crisis response, but also kune theme lekhona yalo ngalo October, but lekhulumisa World Cities Day. Lekhulumisa smart people-centered smart cities. We would want to adopt those initiatives of smart cities incorporate them into addressing my issues kakhulu about housing in our urban spaces. If we can integrate all those things, city package so that we can actually allow innovation in our spaces. Yes.
The concept of smart cities is very much growing. Also, we can see the ministry also taking, actionable steps towards that, especially in the capital. How do you think then we can define this, how as a country we approach smart city development, looking at just the size of our country, our resources, and also just our economic structure?
Sibonge kakhulu. Ngicabanga ukuthi the concept ye smart city as si adopt and as sibona idlaleka emehlweni ethu sibona lamanye amadolobha implement, we need to understand lokuthi the solutions themselves should be addressing my issues ekuphila kwabantu. We should have those technologies or even initiatives la lenda impilo yemuntu losedolobheni ibe ngconywana. So ke leto tinto leto tingaba diningi. Angeke kube ukuthi mhlambe ngaba ama cameras kuphela la sedolobheni, but nje the processes themselves on how you process mhlambe ma applications la fika kuwe as entity le enda lawo ma approvals. You need to have some smart solutions and quicker response time. Sine ngicabanga ukuthi singihulumende si understand kulelo hlangothi lelo lokuthi lama solutions themselves should actually affect or have an effect on the people on the person on the ground. Yeah.
Your thoughts, Mr. Makubu, what does a smarter urban city, equitable city look like? And do you see in any way technology having a hand in this?
Of course, technology it's at the forefront of everything actually that speaks to smartness.
Yes.
Even though the technology that we can adopt for our smart cities, we need kukhetha leyo letawusita noma letawushintsha lempilo yalowo muntu lo sekhathe edolobheni. Especially ngoba sekunema issues jabo AI and all the likes, we need to embrace those into our addressing of urban challenges that we have in the kingdom. You rightly said, Logusi, we are a small country. If we not implement all these things, it can change the landscape altogether. And I think impilo emaswati ingaba ingasheshe ibesezingeni lelisetulu.
Kuyavama lokuthi ema projects, whether ahulumende but just different initiatives are established, implemented, and then they somewhat neglect in between. But nanbuka le pocket park, how do you think then so is atwakhiwa? Yes, you're here to mobilize your stakeholders, but now in terms of maintenance, ngabe nitawubambisana kanjani to ensure ukuthi one, we keep it clean, the infrastructure is actually not vandalized as in some areas?
Sibonge kakhulu. Ngicabanga ukuthi uthinza indzaba lemcoka kakhulu because kukodwa ku establish a park and then you leave it there. But ke kungale initiative le si encourage nje onke lama players, our stakeholders, our partners, and some have made pledges vele to say sita ngala. But nje si encourage kakhulu joint ownership of the park, and also it belongs to everyone, especially in lama government entities and the businesses around the park itself. Sitaku lanzelela lokuthi people are actively participating in the management of the park. nekuthi ke security of le park itself ngakhanzakalise kwendeka ama criminal activities langa attract abantu ukuthi babe khona laphana, but nje we want every partner to play a role ukuthi si manage collectively. Of course siyathi ukuthi tindzawo leti ma parks tigcina tihledi kubo city council noma kubo masipala. Sithi ke Mbabane Municipal Council naye is one of our partners, naye utawudlala irole yakhe na ongela lamanye ma partners atawudlala ima roles awo to manage the park and the sustainability of that park. Kuthi i-course and iyende velele lesihlose kuthi iwende. Yes.
You've kicked off the Urban October month with the commemoration of the World Habitat Day.
Yeah.
That was through actually the launch Yali Pocket Park. We do have World Cities Day coming up, month end. But just to look at the month in itself holistically, what are some of the key themes that perhaps the ministry will be focusing on to ensure that everyone is educated when it comes to the concept of smart cities, when it comes to urban greening, when it comes to resilience? What exactly will the ministry be focusing on?
Noma ngingeke ngibe specific to say what are these activities la khona la plan, but we as a ministry and all emadolobha la 7 si busy vele sihlangene nje siyakhulumisana lokho singayithatha kanjani le tingxoxo tethu around the two themes, the urban crisis response and also the people-centered smart cities themes, which is siwahlanganise and take the discussions to actually to the public. It's not akusithi thina kakhulu ukuthi sihlale ematafuleni kuxoxe thina lesebenta kule space, but we need to engage more on our stakeholders and the public and the residents themselves. How can we try and see address some of these challenges labo bhekana nawo, and throughout ke le nyanga lena sihlose nje ukuthi sibe more visible, ikakhulukazi bantu abalatiko la housing and urban development. We want to be visible kakhulu kule nyanga ya October and to say we are here, we are there for the people ukuthi mhlambe sikhone ukukhulumisana lapho banedikhalo khona noma banedifiso ukuthi sichaze noma challenges labahlangana nawo ezibaphila edolobheni noma etindzabeni tabo housing. But nje we want to take the dialogue to the people. Of course tabe seke sesicedzela ngalokuthi sicommemorate lo World Cities Day, but we want to be active between now and the 31st of October.
Right.
Yeah.
You're an expert in housing. I would say this will be a parting shot. What do you think should be a vision for the country's urban landscape? One thing I like about the country is our mountainous scenery. That's from a tourism perspective. But to complement the beauty that we already have, what should that look like in the next 10 years? And do you think this pocket park, perhaps it symbolizes the beginning of an environmental or landscape transformation?
Yeah, I think we need to develop spaces that are livable. So a livable space has to have an element of greenery. Yes. It has to have a living space, the housing component. It also has to have the economic side of things, where you have businesses operating and thriving in that environment. So and proper services that will service all this the people laba development. So if all these things can be integrated into a working model, I think we can have a madolobha lapho khona sisi they are smart, they are livable, they are green, and they are affordable. Because akusithi kuhlala edolobheni leli lapho khona ungakhoni kuphila khona ngekuthi mhlambe i-affordability kuleyo ndzawo it's a bit above your living means. So sithi nje konke lokho if singakupackage kahle and integrate everything singaba nawo amadolobha la lesingathi are smart indeed, and a better urban future for residents kulawo madolobha.
And affordable housing really is at the heart of everything else. I really do hope that we can get to invite you some other time for a conversation on housing in urban areas. Thank you so much, Makubu, for your time. Samgeliso Makubu, who is the Senior Housing Officer in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, chiming in on the recently launched Pocket Park project here in the capital that's expected to actually just change the landscape of what Mbabane City looks like, especially along the ministerial building. This is Kusile for sure. We'll catch a break. After that, our English news bulletin. Stay tuned.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.sz.
Good morning. In our English news bulletin this morning, Their Majesties have showered Imbali Regiment, who had attended the Kusile Umhlanga ceremony over the weekend, with gifts. This follows the end of the ceremony, which was concluded at a high note.
Their Majesties have showered the Imbali Regiment with gifts following the conclusion of the second leg of the Umhlanga ceremony for the year 2025. The ceremony in the Kusile region was attended by more than 30,000 Medians. The thousands of Imbali were coming from within the Kusile region, few chiefdoms from other regions, and as well as outside the border. This leg follows the main big event that was held at Eswatini Royal Residence a few weeks back. Their Majesties could not allow the Medians to return back to their respective homesteads empty-handed. Members of the regiment received gifts such as sanitary pads, toothbrushes and toothpaste, sweets, backpacks, T-shirts and foodstuff, to name a few. Imbali leader Bongo Hlachako says the ceremony was a great success and also thanked Their Majesties for the gifts that they have given to the Medians.
Lengakusho bekumakhata inshiselweni kepha ke ngoma besibitwe ngilomabanda ingozi besigeza ngemandla ashisako sinathaltiya waba kuhle kwabanjiyana namuhla inkosi iyasimbathisa tikipa nabobhaki kubonakala ukuthi awunathe esikolweni utawubonakala ukuthi uyahlehla ke lo nangibhaki ubonakala ngabhaki kwaba kuhle kwadliwe njengoma sibona inkosi isiphatha inkunzi namuhla.
She also encouraged the regiment to maintain moral purity so that they meet again during the next ceremony.
Imbali kokuthi ayibhale kahle idadishe labasalungiselela bo form 2 badadishe bathi nje kokuthi imfumvo ingiyona leyisikhiya sawo wonke umnyango noma ngawumuphi imsakade. Imbali sabuyela emuva khona etikhulwini siyifisela indlela lenhle ihambe ifike iphephile emadloti namveli ngikhandi ayisibekele endleleni nekoko ukuthi ayithi imbali ibuyela etikhulwini iqhubeke ibambe yona inhlonipho iqhubeke itigcabe kuba imbali igcine ebufophi bayo kokuthi nakuyo umnyaka lotaku sibuye sihlangane siyimbali solo sigabaza ngebutfophi bethu.
The second leg of the ceremony commenced with the arrival and registration of the Medians on Friday. On Saturday, the regiment led by their Royal Highnesses Emakosatana, Lipovela and Dimbali leader presented their wreath before His Majesty King Mswati III and Her Majesty the Queen Mother at Mbangweni Royal Residence. The regiment outdid themselves when dancing before their majesties on Saturday and Sunday. While dancing Ummiso, His Majesty King Mswati III appreciated the Medians through Kudlalisela. Their majesties also danced with the regiment and the nation that had attended the ceremony. On the news, I'm Polile Mazia with Tabiso Dlamini at Mbangweni Royal Residence.
Over 8 million Malangeni has been reportedly stolen through cybercrime in Eswatini from September 2024 to September 2025, and this is an increase of 2.6% from the previous year. This has been revealed during the official launch of the Cybersecurity Awareness Month held at the Happy Valley Hotel on Monday. Officially launching the Awareness Month was the Honourable Prime Minister, His Excellency Russell Dlamini, who has said this matter calls for joint efforts as it is, or rather as cybercrime has the potential to cripple the economy.
Cell phones, computers, and other electronic gadgets were created to make life easier and simpler for end users. However, they have become as dangerous as landmines, with users one click away from losing every cent they have. The Prime Minister, His Excellency Russell Dlamini, says this year's Cybersecurity Awareness Month theme, Secure Eswatini, Be Safe Online, calls for everyone to work together.
As we bring government to the palm of your hand, we must also guarantee that your data, your privacy, and your trust are protected. Cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. Success requires collaboration. First, with schools and universities to build digital literacy. Secondly, with businesses to strengthen defenses against cyber attacks. And lastly, by no means the least, with communities to raise awareness and protect the most vulnerable.
The Honourable Minister of Information, Communications and Technology, Savannah Mazia, said government will empower Emaswati with knowledge that will help them better protect themselves from this heinous crime.
Throughout this campaign month, we will be conducting outreach programs to schools, institutions of higher learning, community platforms, workshops for stakeholders, as we continue to instill a culture of cyber vigilance amongst our citizens. The ministry, through the Eswatini Communications Commission, is also planning free online cybersecurity training for the public, including the youth, small businesses, schools, government agencies, and communities.
National Commissioner of Police Vusi Masango, who was represented by Mamsi Dlamini, revealed shocking statistics about this crime.
8,575,174 Emalangeni was lost from a total of 275 cyber-related cases reported during the period from 1st September 2024 to 30th September 2025. indicating a 2.6% increase when compared to the previous year.
The launch kickstarts a month-long journey of education and capacitation of Emaswati who are evidently not immune to cyber criminals. Reporting is Temgosi Mavimbela, Ezulwini.
40 children from the 4 regions who head households have been assisted to start egg-selling businesses. Deputy Prime Minister Honorable Kusile says the initiative is supported by Elangeni Chicks, a company that donated 1,200 trays of eggs worth 40,000 Malangeni. Ladla explains the importance of empowering these children through business initiatives that promote self-reliance and dignity.
We appreciate and please extend our deepest appreciation to management and your commitment to uplifting vulnerable communities and investing in the next generation is both noble and transformative. We have planted a seed of hope and we are confident that it will bear fruit in the lives of many. To our young beneficiaries, your courage and perseverance in the face of adversity is truly inspiring. May this business be the beginning of a journey marked by purpose, marked by growth, and marked by success.
Speaking about the newly opened business, Elangeni Chicks business manager Aaron Dlamini says this is one of the ways the company contributes to the fight against poverty.
Umntwana munye will have 30 trays. So lesathi nasihlala phansi nelibandla sibala sabuka ukuthi le profit margin lebatayakha lapho. It can sustain an individual. They will buy la macanza at cost, not at selling price.
He says after selling the eggs, the young people will be able to run sustainable businesses. He adds that they were also trained in financial literacy. The young people heading households who have been assisted to start egg-selling businesses express their gratitude.
Ihamba kahle kakhulu so far ihamba kahle. Ma challenges la khona nje ukuthi lama order ethaphotha lokufika ama customers emaningi kakhulu.
They say that although their businesses are productive, they sometimes run out of stock. They add that they have to wait for a long time before receiving new supplies, which result in clients complaining. As the young entrepreneurs raise concerns that the eggs run out quickly before reaching all their customers, Elangeni Chicks said it will address the issue and added that the youth will purchase the eggs at half the normal wholesale price. Reporting Fortune Dlangamandla, Mbabane.
The Ministry of Housing and Urban Development has launched the Interministerial Pocket Park and Riverine Ecosystem Restoration Project as part of the World Habitat Day commemorations. The Minister for Housing and Urban Development, Honorable Apollo Mapalala, says the park will provide urban communities with a space to connect with nature and promote environmental sustainability.
The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Honorable Apollo Mapalala, launched the Interministerial Pocket Park and Riverine Ecosystem Restoration Project as part of World Habitat Day commemoration held under the theme Urban Crisis Response. The event began with the unveiling of the park site and a symbolic tree planting ceremony. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Honorable Apollo Mapalala, says the project will restore degraded river banks, reduce flooding, and create a safe green spaces within the government offices present in Babane.
Environmental degradation, flooding, and lack of public space. The area is about 2.13 hectares. It's situated within government. The government office is present, stretching from below His Majesty's Correctional Services headquarters, adjacent to the interministerial complex towards Hilton Garden Hotel. The objectives of the project are: 1, to restore degraded riverbanks and improve water quality. 2, to create green, accessible public spaces, a pocket park, that enhances community well-being of users of the space around the government office precinct. 3, to build resilience to urban flooding while offering safe recreational areas, and ultimately reducing the economic impacts of flooding on properties downstream.
The Minister of Housing presented a certificate of appreciation to Stephen Kumalo, who was working with the ministry in the Department of Environmental Health, who served with dedication, as Kumalo is expected to continue working in the Ministry of Health. Reporting, Sondomlangeni Mbabane.
The European Union has reaffirmed its commitment to skills development as a strategic response to addressing unemployment. This was highlighted by Ambassador Karsten Mecklenburg during the second Eswatini European Union Partnership Agreement dialogue held at the Royal Villas. The event was officially opened by the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Honorable Polisha Kantu.
Our discussions here today enable us to collaborate on key priority areas such as international affairs, political and legislative matters, and human rights. We will also delve into critical aspects of investment, development, cooperation, along with pressing issues on climate change. Our agenda is comprehensive, covering a wide range of topics aimed at fostering cooperation and addressing key challenges. Our focus aligns perfectly well with Eswatini's national development priorities, aiming to foster a resilient and prosperous future for all our citizens.
European Union Ambassador Karsten Mecklenburg has affirmed the EU's continued commitment to supporting Eswatini, noting that significant progress has already been made across various sectors.
We have done a lot in the primary education, advancing the agenda, having every child access to primary education. We have achieved a lot together in supporting also community-based agriculture, the sugar industry, developing both the flagship industry players, but also supporting cooperative farmers. We have achieved a lot also. We have contributed to development of health sectors and the energy. So this is really a positive record that we can be glad looking together. Now, our flagship support is on skills development. It's to answer to the challenges of the future. We will talk about it in our dialogue. Economic growth is there in the country, but it doesn't translate to everybody's wealth. So some of the citizens don't see the advancement of the economic growth in their pockets. The government is putting the right priorities, and we are there to support you.
Last year, the European Union reported that trade between Eswatini and the EU member states was projected to exceed 1.9 billion emalangeni. Reporting, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Ezulwini.
Following the mass meeting of the public sector associations, the Ministry of Public Service, through its communications officer, Kusile, confirmed that civil servants reported for duty on Monday and that the salary review meeting is scheduled for Wednesday. Meanwhile, the president of the Principals Association, Armstrong Dlamini, says that examinations proceeded smoothly with no reported disturbances.
My exams are affected because they have nothing to do with my exams. My legislators
Dlamini says that examinations across the country proceeded smoothly without any major disruptions, despite the mass meeting held by the Public Sector Association. Dlamini explains that all teachers had received official letters inviting them to attend the meeting, and the decision to either participate in the meeting or report for duty was left to the individual's discretion. Dlamini says that there were no incidents reported where pupils were left stranded or examination were delayed.
The Eswatini Communications Chief Executive Officer Mvila MP Dlamini says there is a need for a direct budget for cybersecurity. Dlamini has said this during the official launch of the Cybersecurity Awareness Month on Monday. Dlamini says the current situation makes the country more exposed to cyber threats.
Cybersecurity is not only about technology, but it is about awareness, vigilance, and the joint commitment of all sectors to safeguard our nation's digital future. Since the enactment of the Computer Crime and Cybercrime Act of 2022, the Eswatini Communications Commission As a designated national cybersecurity agency, it's been hard at work. We've been on the ground rolling out programs to ensure that our people are capacitated to confront the challenges of cyberspace. We have conducted educational programs, training of young people across the country, instilling a culture of cybersecurity awareness and resilience from an early age. In partnership with UNESCO, we've taken the fight against cyberbullying and online exploitation into our schools, ensuring that our children, who are the most vulnerable users of the internet, are protected and empowered. This initiative is ongoing and reflects our commitment to nurturing a digitally responsible generation. We have also worked closely with the justice sector, magistrates, prosecutors, attorneys, and the police, bringing in cybersecurity experts to show knowledge and expertise on how to investigate and prosecute cybercrimes effectively. These efforts are crucial to strengthening the rule of law in the digital space. Yet, despite these milestones, the reality is that our efforts are severely constrained. Cybersecurity is a matter of national security and economic transformation. But as it stands, the Commission has had to carry this weighty national responsibility with no direct budgetary support. Your Excellency, if we are to rise to these challenges, if we are to secure the gains of our digital transformation and protect our people from cyber harm, then it is critical that cybersecurity receives the priority and resources it deserves in the national budget. I humbly and respectfully request that this matter be given your highest consideration so that as a nation, we do not falter in the face of this urgent and growing threat.
But you can go on.
As Eswatini launches the Cybersecurity Awareness Month, the Central Bank of Eswatini Governor, Dr. Philip Mnisi, has outlined what the bank is doing to ensure secure financial systems in the country. The governor made his speech at an event held at the Happy Valley in Eswatini, where he said the central bank is in the process of establishing a cybersecurity incident response team. Let's have a listen.
We have issued guidelines on cybersecurity and cloud computing to provide minimum standards for financial institutions. We continue to strengthen our supervisory frameworks, ensuring that banks and fintechs adopt risk-based approaches to managing cyber threats. There is another program, Your Excellency, which we call the Regulatory Sandbox. That is where some fintechs approach the central bank to try out some few technologies. We put them in this safe environment, and once we are sure, we then release them to participate in the payment and in the financial system. We are also envisaging the establishment of a financial sector cybersecurity incident response team, a benchmarking visit by CBE to a peer central bank with a functioning Financial Sector Security Operations Center has recently been completed. The lesson learned there in terms of regulatory frameworks and operational models will guide us as we move swiftly to operationalize a financial sector CSIRT.
Deputy Sheriff Vusi Mnina, who is facing 4 counts of murder for allegedly killing 4 women at Goje Township in Eswatini, wants to change his legal representation in the ongoing case. His trial, which was scheduled to begin on Monday before a High Court judge, Titus Mlangeni, could not proceed after he complained that his lawyer, Martin Lamini, had not been able to take instructions from him. Our court correspondent, Fortune Langamandla, has this report and other stories from the court.
Vusi Mnina, the deputy sheriff accused of shooting and killing his girlfriend and 3 other women at Goje Township in Eswatini, has requested to change his lawyer. He is also facing an additional count of attempted murder. The women he allegedly shot are Kusile Shong, his girlfriend, Lungile Shong, Nonhlanhla Twala, and Fikile Shong, while Tulim Kwanas is the survivor of the attempted murder. The incident occurred in September 2023. Mnina's 2 applications for bail were dismissed by High Court judges Sabelo Masuku and Titus Mlangeni. His trial, which was supposed to start on Monday, failed to proceed after he complained that his lawyer, Martin Internes Dlamini, had not been in contact with him. He requested time to engage another lawyer. He intends to return to his initial legal representative, Azihla Chwago. Judge Mlangeni has set Thursday as the new date for the trial to continue. In another case, the industrial court has ordered the Royal Eswatini Sugar Corporation to pay a former employee over 1 million emalangeni in compensation. The employee's Fiso Mamba successfully challenged his dismissal after arguing that he had been punished twice for the same offense. He was initially found guilty of misconduct for failing to follow a lawful instruction and for insubordination instead of being dismissed. He had been given a final written warning and placed on unpaid leave for 1 month. However, after serving his penalty, a new chairperson reviewed his case and ordered his dismissal. Mamba then approached the industrial court, arguing that his termination was unfair since he had already been disciplined. Judge Abande Dlamini ruled that dismissal should be the last resort and found that the company failed to provide sufficient evidence of serious misconduct. The court also noted that Mamba had a good working relationship with his colleagues. The court set aside his dismissal and ordered that he be reinstated to his position and paid salary arrears from June 2019 to September 2025, a total of 76 months, amounting to about 1.4 million emalangeni. Mamba was represented by KQ Makakula, while the company was represented by House of Makakula. Reporting Fortune Dlangamandla, Industrial Court.
The government of the Kingdom of Eswatini has confirmed the arrival of third country nationals from the United States of America as part of the ongoing cooperation between the two nations. A total of 10 individuals arrived on the 6th of October 2025 and are currently secured, while arrangements for their repatriation are underway in collaboration with the International Organization for Migration. The government reaffirmed its commitment to human rights, humane treatment, and international migration standards throughout the repatriation process. And moving on to sports, the Eswatini Olympic and Commonwealth Games Association has supported a basketball coaching workshop in the country with an amount of 170,000 emalangeni. The funds for this coaching workshop were handed over by the Chief Executive Officer of the association, Maxwell Kusile, at the organization's headquarters in Lubamba.
The Basketball Association of Eswatini, in its effort to develop the standard of the sport in the country, has begun by improving and educating local coaches. The Chief Executive Officer of the Eswatini Olympic and Commonwealth Games Association, Maxwell Kusile, says they are supporting the Basketball Association in this coaching workshop and appealed for the standard of play in the country to improve so that Eswatini can be represented in the Region 5 Games next year, which will be held in Mozambique.
We would like to congratulate Basketball Eswatini for this initiative in ensuring the development of the sport in Eswatini, and we just want to wish them all the best as they execute this important activity. So the total sum that has been made available is 170,000 emalangeni, which is equivalent to $10,000 US. We are confident that Basketball Eswatini will put this money into good use and ensure that they are able to produce qualified coaches to take the sport forward.
The president of the Basketball Association of Eswatini, Clement Dlamini, says this financial support comes at the right time as it aligns with their 2026 vision.
Your commitment, CEO, to education and excellence in the sport is a beacon of progress. We are deeply thankful for the support of our vision, which is 2026. We want to have produced a high-performance team by 2026, and by allowing us to have certified coaches.
15 participants will take part in the Level 1 coaching course, which will start on Wednesday this week and will end on Sunday at Olymp Africa in Lobamba. The instructor for this course is Lazare Atigono from Angola. Reporting, I'm Linda Dlamini Babane.
And with that, we wrap up our English news bulletin. For now, we'll catch a break. After that, Sfiso has an interesting conversation for you. Stay tuned.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.za.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba research bafunze.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna sente ukukhiqiza ngokusemndeni.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience.
All right, welcome back to the program. It's exactly 33 minutes after 7. You're still watching Kusile Breakfast Show. We did promise you that we'll get into a conversation about Africa, which is no longer standing at the threshold of the global creative economy, but it is now claiming the rightful seat at the table. And come November 2025, Johannesburg transforms into the runway where Africa's Creative Passport will be taking flight. It is the Global Creative Summit and is themed Visa to the World, a gathering not of dreamers but of doers. Lesotho, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Seychelles, Reunion Island, and indeed the Kingdom of Eswatini, which have all confirmed their place among the founding voices shaping this historic moment. So this morning I'm joined by the visionary that is orchestrating this continental movement, Sinamandla Kwepile. She's the executive director of the Global Creative Summit. We are going to ask her, beyond the lights, the panels and the performances, what this summit truly represents for a nation like the Kingdom of Eswatini, which is rich in world-class talent, yet still fighting for global access. What is the real return? Is this merely another showcase or a blueprint for mobility, trade, and sustainable creative investment? A very good morning to you, Sina. Welcome to the program. Let's start perhaps by positioning and purpose. You've called the summit a passport to mobility for the creative in Eswatini, be it a musician in Gwane Park or a designer in Sitegi. What does that passport practically allow them to do that they cannot do today?
Good morning. Good morning to the listeners and the viewers. My name is Namandla Kwepile, and I come from a background of music conference, and therefore myself and my colleagues, we came together looking at the opportunity that G20 is coming to Africa for the first time. So basically, this was a platform to connect creatives to the global landscape. So we did theme it Visa to the World, meaning it's our passport to possibilities. So we are calling on investors basically to look into Africa, the African creative economy, and just support Africans, and also for Africans to unite and work together to create sustainability, mobility, and cultural exchange.
Yeah, I do want us to talk to the creative now who's going to benefit from being a part of this movement, particularly those from the Kingdom of Eswatini, who for a very long time, it's undeniable that there's vast talent within our creative sector, and yet it is still overlooked, underfunded, so to speak. You know, what opportunities are going to come from them affiliating with this movement?
The opportunities that we are creating a platform where networking is it's key, and also collaboration, because we believe and we know that there are bilateral agreements and memorandums of understanding between South Africa and Eswatini. And also maybe Eswatini has got other outstanding bilateral agreements and MOUs with the other countries that are invited to participate at the Global Creative Summit. So we basically want to kickstart those agreements, and we want to see them actually working and benefiting our creators. So in the room, there will be policymakers, there will be government officials, and we're basically discussing what is actually limiting us from working with each other, and also making sure that this sector is actually monetizing, and it's actually giving opportunities to creatives in Africa to make sure that we are in the tables and the rooms that are making decisions for the creative sector. And we've seen the margins of how much revenue the creative sector can generate. So we want to unlock those opportunities and make sure that each country benefits throughout the Global Creative Summit.
Right. You did mention that G20 is coming to South Africa being the host, of course, and the sidelines will be the Global Creative Summit happening the same year, right? And I suppose with the answer that you've just given me, there will be an opportunity here for Eswatini to influence or ride policy shifts around movement or creatives, intellectual property protection, and trade. You are telling us that the participation of the Kingdom of Eswatini in this is not merely symbolic, right?
Yes, because what we are doing is that with all the 20 countries or 19 countries, global countries coming to South Africa, first world countries, which have got the finance to uplift Africa, will be here, and Eswatini will be in that presence. They will be able to create job opportunities, discuss trade limits with them. So this is to benefit Eswatini and Africa.
Let's talk to sector-specific gains now, because you've identified music, you've also identified film, fashion, digital arts, literature. These are Africa's leading export pillars, according to what you've identified. Which of these do you believe that Eswatini could most aggressively scale through the summit platform? And, how will access be structured here?
So I like how you stopped at literature and storytelling, because we believe that Africa has got great culture and great heritage. So we believe that once we are able to protect our culture and our heritage and our intellectual property around that, we can then look into animation and gaming, and also film. That's where we'll capture our stories and basically teach our languages to other countries, and also influence our cultures to different countries. And the collaborations, the synergies between our culture in South Africa and Eswatini with Mozambique and Botswana. So that's the kind of value chain that we want to create, and also to create an ecosystem amongst ourselves as creators.
How much space, the seat of music within this global creative economy? I want us to talk about music because we have a good example. We have Uncle Waffles, who arguably, yes, is riding on a sound that is birthed in South Africa, but she's still Swati, and right now she's our pride, if I do say so myself. We realized just recently that she's one of the most touring artists from Africa, and she's been performing in the United States pretty much every month. Let's talk about music. Nigeria, with their Afrobeat sound, they have created a global recognition and respect for just the sound, which is purely an Afrobeat sound, and that speaks to, Africa. How much space do we have to occupy in terms of music as Africa, as Eswatini, with our indigenous sound and finding our own unique sound?
We believe that there is no limit. We are able to occupy as many space that's available to us. Looking at the Jamaican music from the Malis, which is also from the Caribbeans, not too far from us, and also music from the islands as well. Your Seychelles will be at the Global Creator Summit, your Mauritius Reunion Island, where reggae music is quite huge. And you also see that growing into South Africa and to Eswatini. So we believe that the space for our own indigenous sound, we've got an opportunity and a platform to influence any direction or any genre creating or building within the space.
Access and elite gatekeeping is something that we've seen. Summits often sound grand, but end up engaging only the already included. How will the Global Creative Summit ensure that, indeed, access is not limited to already established names, but also include emerging talent from smaller nations like ours?
With Global Creative Summit, what we've done, we are self-funded. We did this without government. So it's creators who actually connected with other creators from different parts of Africa. So this is to show that we are unlocking doors ourselves. There's no more gatekeeping. We are able to influence conversations. We are able to influence partnerships and collaborations. So myself connecting with Judah, who is an artist, Eswatini, connecting with an artist in Seychelles, who is a reggae artist, who's able to speak to their government and make sure that they are represented at the Global Creative Summit. It shows that time for gatekeepers is no longer here. the creators are actually taking their own leadership in their craft, and they want to see value out of it, because we believe that these are jobs that can actually create opportunities for the next generation, and making sure that we preserve our culture and making sure that we preserve our heritage through music, through visual arts, through storytelling.
And I suppose that that's a good segue into diplomacy and creative trade, because you've woven diplomacy into the core of this summit. And I want you to help us understand, how does cultural diplomacy translate into jobs? How does it translate into contracts or touring opportunities for Eswatini artists and content creators? Because it seems as though touring is a big part of the creative economy, and most people just want to tour domestically, but it seems as though there's untapped gold from touring even outside of just where you're from.
Yes. Currently, where the money is live performances for the music sector. So it makes sense when you're saying that festivals and touring and mobility is a main focus in trade and diplomacy. And also we have limitations such as visas that are actually holding creators from moving or having the excess of mobility. So with what we are doing at the Global Creative Summit, we've got legacy projects, which will be projects running after the Global Creative Summit. So these projects, we have a festival circuit where artists will be booked in more than one festival, and making sure that artists are able to tour between South Africa, Cameroon, Ghana, Eswatini, Botswana. So now you'll start seeing a variety of artists making different impacts on different regions in Africa. And also next year, when we do our second Global Creative Summit in the United States, with our member countries, which Eswatini is, you will see artists penetrating into the United States regions and having opportunities to perform.
Yeah. An interesting fact here, the global creative economy is worth over $1 trillion. That's a lot of money. You know, how much of that is Africa's, and how does this summit help us claim more of it?
The last time I checked, it was around about, I think, I'm not sure if it's South Africa or Africa, it was 4%. It was 4% of that 3 billion. So with Global Creative Summit and the opportunities of G20 being in South Africa, we want to make sure that G20 is copyright compliant, making sure that the hotels that are playing music, African collecting societies with the partnership with CZEC, they are able to collect from hotels, venues, making sure that creators and artists are being paid during G20 that will be happening in South Africa. So we really want to safeguard and make sure that we grab this opportunity with both hands and make sure that artists will get paid out of the G20 that's coming to South Africa.
Legacy projects leading up to the 2026 edition, something that you've spoken about, happening in the United States. What kind of collaborations or core productions could Eswatini be anchoring between now and then? And will there be a formal pathway or program there to facilitate that?
With our legacy programs, we are looking at the top 5 sectors, which we did mention: music, film, film, animation, fashion, and visual arts. So the legacy projects are more around skills development. We've got qualifications around technical skills, which involves sound and lighting. So this means that we'll be able to take in 100 students from Eswatini, from Botswana, from the member countries during 2025 and 2026, make sure that they are trained in South Africa, and then they go back into their own countries. And after that, we do have a partnership in the United States where some of those students will be able to gain a training opportunity in Atlanta, and also make sure that they are part of the Global Creative Summit next year when we prepare for the summit. So we are just creating skills transfer and skills opportunities for our member countries that will be part of the Global Creative Summit.
To believe that you want that to permeate into the remote areas of your member countries as you mentioned them, and I can imagine some of them are watching us right now from the most remote areas of Eswatini who are just as talented, and they are wondering what guarantees they have that themselves, without agency representation or funding, that they are also going to have this platform accessible to them.
We are open for registrations. They can log onto our website to register to attend. We have a investment gala dinner on the 13th of November. This is where we have invited investors and businesses to come and listen to the creative sector. This is where we'll be talking about our legacy projects and looking for investors. We've also extended invites to Afrimex Bank, which is the bank that is assisting the creative sector in Africa. So these will be the networks that are available for everyone who's attending the Global Creative Summit. The second day, we are discussing the summit itself, the topics, the challenges around the sector, those 5 top sectors. And then after that, we'll end up with resolutions, which will be taken into our first board meeting on the Saturday. So the board meeting is basically for us to create a structure where we nominate board members from the member countries. And then after that, we make sure that we table those resolutions and make sure that 2026, we've got programs that we are running, collaborating with the countries that have partnered or being members of the Global Creative Summit.
Yeah, a question to have the answer to whether we are looking at a moment or a movement here, because we've seen Africa hosting a lot of creative summits before, and most of them have faded when the cameras went off. How do we know this one is really different? How will we know the difference a year from now?
We will see the difference immediately after the Global Creative Summit. As I've mentioned, the legacy projects, I've mentioned the board structure, that will have a board with governance, proper governance, and making sure that there is a calendar of events and making sure that they are the legacy projects that are running after the summit. And just to also emphasize on our partnership with an international institution, which is run by Commissioner Gordon, who is a Grammy winner. He managed Lauryn Hill. He managed John Legend. He is building creative hubs around Africa. And he's doing this through the Orange Economy. He has started in Seychelles, building up a hub, a music hub, and he's also going around Africa. So we've partnered with him to make sure that we are able to place creators from the Global Creative Summit into those creative hubs. So to ensure that there is continuity after the conference itself, the summit in November.
Yeah, there's a big conversation around Africa reclaiming its identity, and you've also mentioned heritage, you've mentioned our culture, which is rich, which is something that could be showcased to the rest of the world. But we are also awake to the truth and reality that for decades and decades, Africa, the creative industry has been shaped by external funding as well as the Western validation, for lack of a better term. How does your summit shift that power dynamic? Who truly owns this narrative now going forward? How do we shift that?
We are making sure that we shift the direction by us collaborating with each other, because the money or the value is in Africa. So once we start understanding that we own the narrative as Africans, we are able to influence. We are able to influence a lot of conversations around the direction of our craft, our music, So basically making sure that Africa is working with each other and we are united, it will then build the value that we are able to approach the Western countries or the global countries.
Yeah. If a minister a brand or a local arts collective is watching right now, what is your direct call to them? To just attend, to invest, to co-create? What is the invitation there?
Our invitation is for them to co-create and assist us as creators. That we can't do it on ourselves without government. We want to sit in the room with government and government to understand the creatives and how we want our sector to work and how we believe it will work for both of us, government and the creators. So our invite is for them to attend. It's for them to invest into the Global Creator Summit so we can see more artists performing on our platforms and also in the other markets that will be visiting or countries that will be visiting South Africa. So we are looking for investors that will support this African initiative and help us to create sustainability in the creative sector.
Yeah, we saw recently, I think was it a year ago, a rant from one of the biggest soaps of our time that we grew up watching. I think you also grew up watching it. I'm not going to mention the name, on a very popular broadcasting channel from South Africa, complaining that they were working as what you coined permanent freelancers, and that impeded their progress in life because they couldn't take loans. It's a lot of things that they couldn't do just based off of their contractual agreements and some of the terms and conditions of working wherever it is that they were working. I don't want to mention the production or the TV production. But on the sidelines, we also see in music, I think Nasty C is a good example right now, who just released his first independent album. And listening to his music there, he's ranting about all the difficult, moments that he went through when he was signed. And I suppose that speaks to Africa, which for a very long time we've seen our talent being consumed by the world, but earning just a small fraction of their creative work. How does the summit intend to protect their intellectual property here, and that they own their work and their worth globally?
So we've invited industry professionals who will be able to assist us to guide the music creators or freelancers in the space and make sure that this sector is formalized, because the problem is that our sector is not 100% formalized. So we are trying to build those pillars to make sure that freelancers are able to get contracts that will allow them to get loans for them to build a sustainable life or household. So with the different types of speakers and people that will be in the room, we believe that we will come out with resolutions that will assist the sector to be formalized, and also for music creators to understand contracts and to understand what they have signed when they are going into a contractual agreement. So we believe that out of the Global Creative Summit, having it at high level with professional leaders or industry leaders, will be able then to have smaller conferences, music conferences that actually focus onto intellectual property and into legal and how artists can actually protect their works going forward.
Sinamandla Kusile, Executive Director of the Global Creative Summit, thank you for your time and all the best going forward. We are all awake to the reality that Africa's creative economy for a very long time has never lacked brilliance, but what has been lacking is the bridges for infrastructure, for resources, as well as support. Whether this will be the bridge or it's going to be a moment, time will tell, delivery will tell. So we'll be there watching. You've been watching Kusile Breakfast Show, the Tuesday edition. We hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for staying with us. Bye-bye.